We also are concerned about schools and what that is going to do for the rest of the week. We know today CMS is really no one has school today, right? Our Jessie Pierre is here in the Live Impact studio now. Hey, Jess, you are covering Charlotte Mecklenburg School District. How are you?
I am very well.
I know you're making the calls, trying to catch up with everybody.
And like you mentioned, yes, CMS and really every school district in our region really decided to close today. Cabarrus County did decide to do a remote learning day, but there's a lot of different things that factor into those decisions, and it really comes down to safety, just like you mentioned earlier about staying off the roads. Same thing about those school buses. Even driving here, I saw the challenges, especially on those secondary roads and those neighborhoods and so forth. Some of the primary roads were nice and clear, but you make a turn off of them and it's like, okay, sir. So you have to definitely be very, very careful out there. So I also spoke to daycares as well. They are also making decisions to close today. And so again, a lot of these districts and daycares and so forth, they start monitoring the conditions and so forth right when inclement weather is forecasted. So they're watching the forecast, and they're watching WCNC to make sure they know exactly what to expect. And then depending on how cold it is, depending on how much snow falls, depending on freeze overs, I think with the low temperatures, that's been the biggest issue, and that's really the biggest concern. A lot of time it's the ice on the roads, and when you have icy conditions, slushy conditions, it just create a difficult, challenging situation for drivers. And depending on those conditions, they can decide to close or, maybe open later, but we didn't have that warm up early enough to really reopen, And so to give time for them to clean up their campuses, their sidewalks, make sure their parking lots are nice and clear and so forth, it's probably best to make the decision to just close for the day. Now, as of for tomorrow, those decisions are still being made. And a lot of times, you can still be waiting into the evening before you hear about school closures and so forth. So, we are still waiting to hear from CMS on their decision. The daycare that I spoke with also, they said it could be as late as 7 o'clock before they make a decision for tomorrow. We do list all of our school closures, delays, and everything on WCNC.com. So if you want to just keep checking that to see if you hear back from your school. We have just a few that have given decisions already. Anson County and Burke County are both deciding to go remote tomorrow. And then Rowan Salisbury schools are closed tomorrow. So, again, they're kind of just coming in. It's still very early, but by the evening we'll have probably decisions on all of them, because people need to know if they're going to school tomorrow, right?
Yeah, they're going to come in fast and furious, and parents, they make childcare plans according to if the child is going to be able to go to school. So I know it's a big weight and points of frustration for many, I'm sure, but all because in the name of safety.
Safety, exactly.
All right, so while we wait for that, Jess, you are from New York, and so I've been asking all of the folks that, might have experience driving in conditions such as this. What would you suggest? You had to drive, like we talked about, secondary road onto a primary road or vice versa. That can spell trouble in the flash of a second. Anything that you have found in your experience driving around town or in your observations here, excuse me, sir?
I think you see a difference in the cleanup, right? And so in New York, they have more resources to get things cleaned up in a different way. And so, you just kind of have to deal with the conditions that you have, and you kind of just have to pay attention. And, if it's just safer because you don't have the experience, you don't have the proper tools, wheels on your car, and et cetera, to drive, then you probably should stay home. When I took the roads today, it was just slow and steady. That's my tip and advice for the day. And even when you're getting to a stop, I'm stopping a little bit or starting to slow down a lot more sooner, because there's that little bit of sometimes slip right at the end. And, and if a car's coming on the opposite direction, we don't want no issues. So
that's right. All right.
Just being careful, being extra cautious.
Extra careful. And we'll just continue saying it anyway. If you don't need to be on the road, again, many of those roads are just fine once you get onto the primary.
Exactly.
but it's out of the neighborhood or even in the parking lot.
It's gonna take a minute
That
for
little
the crews
slip.
to get there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then
with,
even
and with the temps too, you know, it's,
Right.
it's getting harder because when the snow was coming down, it was beautifully fluffy and like boop, boop, boop.
yeah, gorgeous.
But different thing today.
Right.
It is. Even stepping out of the car today, it was like,
Yeah.
you know, caught
I slipped in
myself
the parking lot.
real quick.
Full transparency, I slipped.
Oh,
I busted my
Carlene.
butt in the parking lot. I did. I'm fine.
Good.
Everybody, I'm fine.
Yes,
But
good.
like,
Yeah.
it's like an eat moment, you know.
My dad called me, and so they're in New York, and
Okay.
he called me. He said, "Hey," he called me yesterday and said, "Jess, go clean your car now before it gets into freeze mode and
Right.
etc." And I said to myself, "You're right, Daddy, because it's gonna be." I call him Daddy.
I call my dad Daddy.
Yeah.
Because of the, you know, it would be a harder situation in the morning to clear out your
Yeah.
car harder and so forth. So it was nice and freshly clean.
Beautiful.
But and he also told me to warm up the car, just let it run and then so forth. But like under it, when I left this morning, there was a lot of ice.
Yeah.
You know, so I cleared it all.
Right, by kind of the skirts or the door.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
just again, you just kind of have to be careful.
Right. And Greg took care of the.
Greg took over my
The car,
kind of like
same
your
idea.
dad did good
Yep.
morning. Greg went out there with the broom and covered up, you know, took all the snow off of my car. And thankfully
Yep.
I was parked in the sun, so it kind of also helped. So
Knock
I had a
everything
nice,
away.
clean, honestly clear car this morning, and everybody else parked around me still had
You got-
a nice thick thing of snow on their
Right.
car.
See? Good
And
enough.
compared to last weekend, you know, even from the hotels and everything, I mean, my car was completely frozen.
Yeah.
All around. It's
Yeah.
a whole different thing.
Right.
You know? But we ended up getting, I think, warm day. Like it was pretty warmed up pretty quickly.
Yes, the
Out
next
there.
day. Yeah.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
Monday. Warm, big quote.
I know.
Yeah.
Above freezing.
Compared to this time around. So
Right.
That's true. That helps. Because, too, when your doors are frozen and the handles and you try to
Yank it over.
yank it open, that's not good.
No.
No.
You could rip the handle off.
Yes.
we don't want that.
We don't. We,
So,
we
so
need,
don't even go to it.
we need our
Leave
handles.
your car alone.
Stay home.
Stay home.
Stay at home.
Like I said last time, take out the board games.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a good
Play
one?
with your family.
Read. Do something.
I'm a taboo girl. If I can get a nice group together, you know,
Okay.
I love taboo. Jenga. Oh, you know what? I lied.
What else?
Dominoes.
Domino.
Dominoes, good old bones.
Yeah.
Dominoes. That's
There you
that's
go.
what we do.
All right. I got the Connect 4, but
Okay.
I have that too.
Oh,
I have that too.
it's way old.
I love the games.
All right, very good, Jesse. Thank you very much for coming in here to Live Impact. We're going to have you on Live Impact, not Live Impact, Charlotte, WCNC, Charlotte. At
Sometime.
4?
4, 5, and 6.
Oh, she's all
very
shows.
good.
All shows.
All right, we'll see you at 4, 5, and 6 then. And maybe we'll get some news if that happens on what happens with CMS, if they made a decision before 7. But as soon as we know, we're going to let you know. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Jess. We will be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.